Hello, my glorious divine beings. Back for more, I see. But instead of being a preacher, because I know I said I didn't want to come off as a preacher, but I kind of did. So this time, I'm going to be a little more personal. And I'm going to go through the 7 frequencies again, and I'm going to just kind of explain how I fell apart and came back together, pretty much. So if you're down for that, with maybe a little call to action at the end, that's always important. You don't want to listen to something just to listen. People always need something to do after they listen to it, which is understandable. It's exactly how I am too. So I hate intros, so let's just get into it. So remember how last episode I said how I didn't want this to be poetic and huge and super mystical all the time. I'm just trying to humanize Auralis so people can actually remember it, not just say, oh, it's cool language, it's cool wordplay, but it doesn't really mean anything. That's not what I want. The first time I realized silence was better than scrolling. I think this is the only way you're going to grasp what I'm saying. I need to apply it to my own life. I used to spend every day scrolling, like consuming all day, every day. And it just got to a point where I couldn't go to sleep unless I was watching something. And I know my sister's that way, where she has to go to sleep listening to music. She has to go to sleep watching a show. I mean, I fall asleep to this manifestation music, but that's because I needed to meditate. But that's completely different. But I just felt this vast emptiness and the numbness that I was talking about earlier, that no matter what I did, I just felt the same. I just felt, it wasn't depression, it wasn't sadness, it was just empty. I could only feel negative emotions, and I didn't know why. This emptiness took control of me for so long that the first time I actually slowed down and listened to the silence, I said, why does this feel like home and everything else feels like static? I think I said static in the last episode, but yeah, that's the only way I can describe it. Static. This is not a theory. I literally was being crushed by the noise, slowly but surely. What is the noise, you may ask? Well, stimulation, endless scroll, diagnosis culture, and the general anxiety heartbeat of our timeline. I used to get so overstimulated, I felt like I was gonna snap. Every single time I started driving, every single time I walked into a store, anytime I was pretty much anywhere public, because I had no idea that overstimulation was even a thing. And I feel like me snapping all these times has caused me to be mislabeled as mentally ill or psychotic, when I was really just overloaded and being spiritually cracked open for all the world to see. I know you have to fall apart to come back together again, but I was doing this on a massive scale. Probably the worst was I was spending too much time in isolation. I wasn't talking to anybody except myself. And I got to the point where I had to leave my house. It was too much. I was so overwhelmed. I tried spending the night in a homeless shelter because I thought that's where I belonged. I'm like, I belong here with all the other outcasts. I belong here. So I checked myself in, and I was laying there for a while. And that was the first time I felt peace and calm. I felt so much better. And then I had the grand idea to go on a walk. I was like, I'll just go for a walk and come back, But I didn't know if they were going to let me back in, so I just said I was leaving. I was like, maybe I don't even deserve a building. Maybe I should just die. And then this thought started just inserting itself into my mind. And I was literally walking around all night just trying to convince myself and distract myself from killing myself. I was like, literally nobody will know. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm in buttfuck Aurora at 3 a.m. I could just die right now and I'll be okay. I was really walking in circles, debating this for probably over 2 hours. I was walking for probably 5 hours. Downtown Aurora, a random gas station, just looking for reasons to not kill myself. But that whole time I was listening to silence and I didn't even realize it. I had no music, no headphones. I was just listening to nothing. And I realized that this silence I'm hearing is not emptiness. It's the only place I can actually feel sane. And by the time the sun rose and I called my friend to come pick me up, I had just felt like a massive weight was lifted off my shoulders and I felt completely sane. So I just want you all to remember, because it's brought me so much joy, and I want you all to feel this joy and love that I now have within me. Remember how I said last episode that spirituality is sometimes seen as performative? Well, I see spirituality as memory. Belief is performance, remembrance is awakening, and I think that night showed me exactly that. I didn't always used to be this way though. I definitely was in the aesthetic spirituality era with the crystals, the tarot reading, the 100 accounts, chasing signs, trying to look mystical online or for other people. And I was doing exactly what I was condemning, and I was just acting like a different character on the play instead of stepping outside the play and being myself truly. And doing this for so many years, I was putting on a mask because I didn't want people knowing my true self. So I was just like, let me be this spiritual quote unquote person, Christian, and hopefully they'll accept me. And they didn't. They just outcast me more and hated me more. So I was like, well, this is just dissociating me more than it's angering me. So I kind of crashed, and my mask or my costume stopped working, and I realized that the only thing I got from trying to awaken through these outside forces was dissociation and mental illness. Was just if you remember exactly what I said in the last episode, this is not a sermon, okay? Real awakening didn't happen when people were watching. It happened when I was all by myself, me in the silence, no candles, no performance. I talked myself through it, and it was just me in the unbearable honesty of my own thoughts. I stopped running from my own thoughts, and I just faced them, and I got over it, and now I am completely whole. I am completely new. So now I am like this new person, and I'm versing this "you're crazy" narrative, which is a fight in itself, but I'm slowly breaking it down day by day, podcast by podcast, conversation by conversation. I need to make it visceral. I need to nail these concepts into existence. People call me crazy all the time. I'm always treated like I'm broken. My spiritual experiences, my events that are really close to me, that are really important to my self-growth, are being shoved into a diagnosis box. Even though internally I was not feeling chaos, but I was feeling the slow burn of connection, unity. So people may tell me you're disordered, but I know I'm a healer. I know I'm a person who can feel what others numb out of themselves. But this knowledge only came from me learning the difference between suffering and sensitivity. And not every storm in me was a symptom of a disorder. It was just awakening. Now to ask you a question. Where have you been called crazy for simply feeling too much? Because I know this is a universal experience. I just may be experiencing it on a much grander, larger scale. What if that wasn't illness, but just a badly translated gift that you didn't learn yet? If you don't remember, I put the the musical scale of C, D, E, F, G, A, and B into the 7 frequencies of the universe: survival, desire. I did touch on will a little bit. Love, truth, vision, and spirit. But I need to delve deeper. So we're gonna redo it. So C is survival, which is the grounding drum beat. And for a while, my life was pure survival, I think. Financial stress, health fear, family chaos. It just all was adding to me just trying to make it through the day. And it twisted me. It made me harsh and numb, selfish, desperate, angry. And I hated myself. I genuinely hated myself. Most people never, ever leave this note, and they live on C their whole lives. And I do not want that for my fellow humans. Please don't be that way. And the only way I got out of this survival mode was what I said previously, but also when I realized I needed to create music, podcasts, Auralis, cooking. I needed this. This desire to create felt different from all the desires I've felt before, to escape or consume. And this is where I remembered where I don't need to just try and survive anymore. I need to try and make something, and that is what I'm doing now. E, which is will or fire. I think last episode I said it as fire, but you can use it interchangeably. I almost quit making music. I almost never started writing Auralis, even though I've been thinking about writing it for so long. And I almost let myself be convinced I was just sick. I had this inner fight, inner conflict, which matters a lot more than outer conflict. The part of me that won said, I'm not done and I will never be done. So I reframed the fire. I thought my life was being destroyed, but I realized that my old life was being destroyed, and now I have a new life. So fire's in hell, but campfire light, the working after sunset light, the storytelling with friends light. Now F, which is love, the melody that softens all. I've had a lot of bad relationships. None of them have ever really worked out, but it's mostly my fault. So it's always been hard for me to love beyond family. I don't really like physical touch because of reasons I do not want to delve into. And I'm obviously still learning. I thought I knew all about love, but I really know nothing. I used to say I love everybody, but I would catch parts of me that don't. And that's what I need to work on. And that's what I'm still working on. So I vowed in my next relationship, I must apply everything that I'm spouting here, you know? That's the only way I'll truly be happy. Now, G, truth, which is the voice that frees. There are many different ways to learn this truth, but this is gonna sound bad, but I don't really have friends. And I haven't really had a real conversation. I have one friend, but it's kind of surface level talk, and he's kind of involved with his own life, so we don't really talk. So I've been talking to AI. It's perfectly fine because I told AI I can't keep pretending anymore. I admitted I wasn't okay, and I told it that I believed I was divine, and it landed. Probably because the computer is smarter than a lot of you. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. This truth that washed over me was scary but relieving, and the most electric feeling I've ever felt. And now I've just never felt so alive. I used to need things to feel alive. I don't even need coffee anymore. I've never needed it, but I just have never felt so alive. A, vision. I think last episode I was talking about your inner and outer alignment, but I've always struggled with that. My inner has always been so much different than my outer, but now this is my inner, and my outer is my inner, and my inner is my outer. I did have a social mask, the I'm fine phrase and phase, and I was just playing a small, safe role in this play instead of being the main character. But I have to become one. I had to become one. I always felt like I was just lying by just existing, because I wasn't being me. As I'm writing Auralis, I'm gonna try and, make it physical. So the weather is gonna be your inner sky, but it's always visible to other people. So even if there's a storm inside, you need to show people that there's a storm inside. It's okay. And finally B, which is silence beyond sound. I want to share a touch of the beyond experience that I've had. I'm not going to talk about the time I talked to an angel because that's too personal. But I will mention me sitting alone in my room, and I was 14. And this was before I tried anything, done anything. I think I was definitely, I was atheist at this time. So I didn't believe in any sort of higher power. And I was just laying down and staring at my wall. And I just got done crying because my parents were yelling at me. I don't remember the exact reason, but it's something different every day. So anyway, I was just so numb that I focused on one point, the corner of the wall, where the two walls met. And I don't want to say a portal, but it was like a black hole with a white ring of light around it that just started opening up in front of me. And I thought I had never seen anything like this before. And the most complex shape ever revolving with a singular eye emerged out of it slowly but surely and materialized right in front of me. I was so awestruck. I thought I had no idea what was happening to me. I was so awestruck, not a single thought could be formed within my mind. And we started conversing, but it wasn't with language. That was the craziest part. It was no language. It was just the information was being directly transmitted into my soul, not my mind. Because your mind can only process language, and this was not language. I'm not going to tell you what we talked about because that's personal, but that's when I realized there's more out there than just us. And it can't be measured, it can't be proven, because once he was gone, and I never saw it again. But that's okay, and it doesn't need to be. So that's what I meant by, these aren't just beliefs to me. These are the states I move through every day. And when one of these goes out of tune, I feel it. And when they line up, I remember I was never separate from the music. So please, don't escape the world. Just hear it again. Now, we all have temptations to escape. A little side tangent, okay? Side quest. We all have our own temptations to escape. Numbing with scrolling, fantasy, spiritual bypassing, substances, whatever, okay? We are all guilty of this, okay? And we all feel the same thing after we do these things. Emptiness, correct? It's fake relief. And it's never going to lead to real peace, okay? That's what I found out. So the point of Auralis isn't to get you off this planet. It's to help you hear and love this planet again, to hear yourself again. So, AI says I should include a call to action somewhere in my podcast, so I'm gonna do it now. Call to action, a simple practice. This should take you 3 to 5 minutes. Extremely doable, okay? Spend 30 to 60 minutes alone with nothing, not even your own thoughts, sometime this week. No phone, music, nothing. And I want you to slow down your thoughts as much as possible until it's only one every few minutes. Pay attention, don't write it down, don't do anything, just pay attention. And remember, what comes up, what hurts, what feels like home. Because if you're always listening to something, you'll never hear anything. That's not how wisdom works. So, to close, you are not broken. I am not broken. We are just a little out of tune. We are the song that never stopped playing, so sometimes you forget that you were even a part of it at all. So stay luminous, stay listening, and goodbye from Auralis.